Welcome and welcome back. It is time to talk cross stitch with the Stitching Owl. It is so good to see you today. It is now May and I am coming to you from London, Ontario, Canada. When we last met, I had such high hopes for May, and yes indeed, I forgot what May is for me. I do contract work for the conservatory, and there are lots of theory exams being written this month. So within my studio, that meant that a number of students were having extra time as they led to their final written exam with me. And I am on the cusp of having 150 3-hour exams to mark. This has all cut into my stitching time a bit, but I can say happily I have had some time absolutely every day, and that it continues to be my way of de-stressing, as I hope it is for you. So we will meet today and we will meet in 2 weeks' time. There will just be a little less stitching, and temporarily my Send a Smile will be on hold as I put that time to other use. If this is your first time coming to see me, I do hope you'll stick around and have a peek at those items that I am stitching. I hope you find something that you will enjoy. And if this is a return visit for you, thank you so much for being part of my stitching community. You are important to me, and I truly appreciate the fact that you are giving me something incredibly precious, your time. So grab that handiwork, that cross stitch, maybe a cup of tea, and let's get going and talk about cross stitch. Now, let's see where we are starting today. I feel just a little bit out of sorts not having a list of Send a Smiles and things like that, but on we go. I start with fully finished items, and I worked hard yesterday and today to have something in this category because I do like to show you something fully finished every time. It doesn't always work, but this time I was able to finish one more ornament of my daughter's. Last time you saw this guy, the Siamese Christmas ornament, and I finished this one to go with it. One of my other children has a Siamese cat, so she's working ahead on her Christmas stitching. Recently, she had an opportunity to gift to a friend her first cross-stitch ornament and was delighted with the appreciation that was given to her efforts. This really makes me very, very happy, and yes, she wants to keep going with this, so this is a wonderful thing for me. She does come by to stitch with me. Now, I felt it was important that I also try and get a fully finish of something that I myself had stitched. And one of the projects that you saw last time was Day Signs by Tiny Modernist. And what I had done was worked on this one with clouds in it to fulfill a prompt that is part of the I Spy challenge by Laura of Stitching by the Shore. Now, I'm going to try and put that up with my one hand. I have done one of those marvelous moments where I've kept nothing the same. So this is the way it was originally charted. And this is mine. So right here, I wanted a very spring summer vibe. and felt that I wanted to just change it up. So this example has been stitched with sulky 12-weight thread. It is on a 20 count Lugana 1/1, and even then it turned out a reasonable size, like it's bigger than my hand. Well, I count my palm of my hand. Most of my ornaments are the size of the palm of my hand. So I think when I do my next one, I'll actually do 25 count Lugana and go there. So none of the colors are the same. And I added beads around the edge at each of the peak on this lacy type edging. I do love the effect of the variegated thread that I have used. And I will say one of the differences this time, if I just take it off this and compare. Okay, what I commonly do is a blanket stitch around the edge. Let's see if I can show it to you. Like this, with like a 5-weight thread that you can get in DMC colors. And that is how I connect it to the back to the front that I have. And yes, lots of leftover quilting material for my backs. I will not run out anytime soon. I don't think I'll run out before I'm 100. And then on this one, I added beads after I had sewn the two together. Sometimes I actually sew the front to the back with the beading. This time I beaded it after. Now this time you actually can't see any stitching at the top or sides on either the front or the back because I used just normal thread. And then I used actually a buttonhole stitch, which is a cousin to the blanket stitch, but there's an extra little twist as you do the stitch to put a little bit of a knot in it. I felt that if I was only going to use regular thread to make this just have this border be the outside, that I would need to have some knotting. So I remember when I was young, I could not get the hang of the buttonhole stitch. My mother did not do buttonholes on her sewing machine. Every one of them was done by hand. And yes, my childhood was full of handmade clothing. I was in high school before I wore clothes that were purchased. Indeed. At the time when I finally was allowed to purchase a set of jeans, I was elated. And now I look back and go, oh, I should have appreciated the handmade clothes more. But thanks to the marvels of YouTube, I was able to watch a couple of videos and go, that's what I didn't understand when I was younger. And I was able to make it work. And I think I will use that stitch again, because it does make for a very smooth front. And I will say the back, this is a batik, which is a special kind of cotton. There's no front and back to the fabric. They are equally dyed. And the thread count's very high and tight. The other reason that I chose not to use the thicker thread is that it's really hard to actually get that through. So I wanted to be able to have a skinnier needle while I was doing my fully finish. And that is it for fully finishing at this point. Now, finishes. Like last time, one of the things that I did was to focus on a few items so that I could reduce my whip count. I know I'm going to want to start a bunch of things in June and July, and I do want to have things finished and preferably fully finished. Now, one of the swaps I am not going to show you. I realize that some presenters don't show any of their swap items. My personal opinion is I am about to show you the stitch for a trading card that will be going out soon to Laura for the Stitching on the Short ATC swap. No one knows whose card they are getting, so it's still going to be a surprise. And even if you can read minds and can somehow channel Laura, she doesn't know who she's actually pairing up yet. So there is no worry in my mind about showing this. So I have chosen to do a snippet out of a Jardin Prive Gnomes. So this is Gnomes of the Seasons, I believe. And here we are. I feel that this fit the prompt summer. We've got butterflies, we've got a toadstool, we've got a cute gnome, and we do have the tree in full leaf. So all going well. Now this was just a snippet and only took, it was less than 24 hours from start to finish. If the world allows, I will get another one done because I've always traded 2 cards. But I know that if I don't get a second one done, Laura will be fine with me sending 1 card. So this has been stitched on a 32 count Lagana. So this is a mint splatter fabric that it's just so easy to stitch on. And I used 2 strands of DMC. I had to stop and go, did I use my sulky or did I use my DMC for this? I am a cotton stitcher and I love all the different cottons that are available. The nice thing about 32 count is you can do 2 strands of DMC or 1 strand of sulky equally easy. So that was my first finish. My next finish I'm going to show you is actually another one of my daughters. She has been busy. So this is a succulent terrarium. It is from Cute Patterns by Maria. It took her less than a month to do this. She's stitching up a storm, and she's already started her summer course at university, but asked me to kit up a couple more things the last time we were together so that she can stay sane while she works through a compressed course. So I think she did very well on this. I gave her a neutral, it's a 14 count Ada. It is a Pell Stitches Ada, I know that, but I cannot remember the exact name of this particular dye job. Can't remember. Now, my next fully finish, I'm sure you'll remember that throughout this year, I have been working on 12 Quakers. This is a Bake Me a Quaker Sal that is being run by the Sunshine Stitchers, EJ and Shelia. They host a once a month Zoom meeting so that we can stay on track, and they have divided up this chart in 12 pieces, but they've done this over a 13-month period in the hopes that if you've had a hard month, you've got that extra month to finish this off. Now, in true owl style, I have opted to take out these individual pieces to make ornaments. And I do know that there is a block sal that is being run that encourages people to extract pieces out of bigger works in order to create smalls. Now, this time, what I've been playing with is, let me see, this one right here. And what I did was I have created it. So this is all derived from the same stitch. This one is the original Quaker with beads added, and then I added another edging around it. So you'll see that I have been using purples, and that what I did was I started with such a deep purple here that it actually looks navy blue. But so I'd say it's like a violet, and then it gradually gets to a lighter color of purple on the inside. But this, without this outer one, is the way the original Quaker looked. This is the original Quaker, and you'll notice that what I've done is I've taken out the super dark and I've focused on some of the medium purple tones. And then my last one is just the center, and it has gone to the lightest purple tone here. So the question is, what am I planning to do with this to fully finish? And I'm going to invite you to come back next time. I have had in my head for the last, since February actually, so for months, something that I wanted to do with 3 different sizes of the same Quaker. And I thought that this was the moment. Each of these Quakers, like all 3 of those, went together in less than 24 hours. They are not hard to do. Now, that also wasn't the largest Quaker on the pattern either. That was a conscious choice because I was wanting to be able to finish. So I'm going to say wait and see for what I'm going to do to finish that one. Actually, to fully finish that one. And there are my finishes. So now we are going into whips. Now you are going to notice that my Quaker flag is not going to be shown today. I personally don't show a project unless I've had enough stitches to actually show a difference from the past video. And it did not happen. In my effort to focus my time on a few things like that Quaker and like my day signs to finish those, I set aside my daily 100 to 200 stitches on my flag. I am counting on the fact that once we get to summer, where I actually am taking the summer off for the first time in decades, that I will have extra time and the flag will get extra time then. One of the other pieces that I really wanted to get some extra time on this particular 2-week period or fortnight, according to Michelle Bendy. If you're not watching Michelle Bendy Stitchy, I hope you'll give her a little watch. Sunday mornings, she does a Twitch, which is, at least I think I'm saying that right. I'm going to have to check and see if I did. But she has figured out how to run it on YouTube at the same time so that we can type in our comments, and she chatters and stitches. And this morning she was saying, like, if you have things that you want to swap with others on this channel, let's do a swap. And it was great fun. Did I purchase anything? I held back. I knew that was what was going to happen, but I just had decided I wasn't going to get new patterns when I have already got quite the list for my summer stitching. So it's not that I wasn't tempted though. there was a couple of really good options. So I do enjoy Michelle. She is not just a floss tuber, she's a designer, and she's also one of the people that goes on the cruise in, I believe it's January, where you are stitching on the sea. And in the 2025 Stitching on the Sea voyage, EJ and Shelia of the Sunshine Stitches are actually going to be guest floss tubers, and they will actually be doing a little bit of teaching as well. It sounds like a delightful time. So one of the things that I wanted to do this time was to make a recognizable owl out of Oona. Now, we all know that Oona is an Artsy Housewife pattern, and that I have had it kitted up with Floss of Roxy Floss Co. Yes, it's one of the things that I got for Christmas from my husband. Now, I did hand it to him to give to me, but that's okay. And I am doing this on a 20 count mint fiber on a whim with 2 strands of my Roxy floss. And my first goal was to just make sure I had 2 eyes this week. And then when I got the eyes done, I thought, no, I want to actually get the whole owl in. And isn't she adorable? I'm sure Oona is a she. So in the coming few weeks, I have more flowers, which are actually fairly easy because they are solid stitching, and then we have a few little medallions in the air above to do. So the trickier stitching is already done. It's hard to actually see, but there are light feathers in amongst this ecru color. And then there's 2 colors in amongst the darker feathers, multiple colors in all around here. So there was a fair amount of color changes going on with Oona, but she was delightful to stitch. And as luck would have it, I only had to unstitch 2 stitches with her. So I am super pleased with how well she's turned out, and I can see a needle that's about to fall on the floor for my husband to step on. We're trying to avoid that. So I'm pleased with that. I'm hoping for a finish before July. We'll see if it happens. Now, I just mentioned my husband, so I'm going to tell a story for a moment. On Mother's Day, my husband ran a half marathon in a city called Goderich here in Ontario. He did not end up asking me to go with him because he was leaving before the sun was up and knew that I would just have to sit in the car, and I would happily have taken my stitching and sat in the car, but he decided to just have me stay at home and celebrate Mother's Day with 2 of my 3 children. My other child I get to go see tomorrow in Barrie. So that day my husband did his run, and he did do it in 2 hours and just a hint over 2 hours. The people that ran the best times were training in the area. There was a very long hill in it because it is by the water. So I don't know that he had scoped that out before he actually went down, but doesn't matter, he had a good time. And just like at the retreats, when you arrive, you get a little goodie bag. Usually there is a t-shirt or a cap in it, some food, usually it's an energy bar of some sort, things like that. And then there is a ticket for a raffle, just as Stitch North did raffles. Now they They gave away a lot of things at Stitch North, an amazing amount of things. They had multiple little raffle things and then one grand raffle, and my husband won the grand raffle. He won an $800 bike. And it happens, like the people that sponsored this came over to him and said, do you want to come back to the shop? We have it open today. You can pick, you can exchange it. And my husband got on it and said, actually, it's perfect as is. Even the seat height is perfect. And then he shared with them that in the last year and a half, the bike that he was using for biking around in the city, he has in the past done biathlons, it was stolen from our backyard. And he had not found one to replace it. So the sponsors were particularly pleased that it was going to be used immediately and truly appreciated. So that's my little story about my husband. And right now, he did ride it downtown. He's doing a run with a group. Sunday afternoons, he does a run. And one of the people texted and said, there's a parade close by. So there wasn't going to be parking. So he said, that's fine. I've got my bike now. So that was my hubby story for the day. Now back to whips. Now, another one of the whips that I am doing and trying to prioritize is my blue flower in praise of pollinators. And the final piece looks like this. It is gorgeous. I am an animal lover. And in spring, I admit that I ask my husband to delay the first cut of the grass so that the dandelions and the violets can be there for that first round of the bees coming out. And it's actually a gorgeous backyard. We have very little grass in our backyard. It's amazing how the violets have spread since we first purchased this house, and they were only in the garden. Now there's not many in the garden, and we have a lot in our lawn. I'm no longer taking care of my neighbor's bunny, but we did discover that Bunny really likes to eat dandelions. So cute to have, to offer the flower and have him nibble it and then work his way up just like it was a piece of spaghetti. He also liked to eat violets, my daughter discovered, which who knew? So we had fun with Buster and welcomed back our friends from their Chinese trip. Now, my pollinators, I took this with me. My mother needed a treatment at the hospital that was going to take a fair amount of time, like 3 hours. So I didn't want her to be alone. So I decided I was going to take pollinators with me. Well, in the unit where we were having the treatment, there was very little space for me. They were delightfully generous in letting me stay with her. But what I did was I sat on her walker, because it's got a little seat for her, which left me very little space to spread out my stitching. She did fall asleep for part of it, so I got out 8:38, because I'm doing this with the DMC, and I stitched 8:38. So what you're going to find here is I got the 8:38 into the bee, and when I got home, I put in the blue. I got a bunch of the butterfly. I was wanting to work my way towards the butterfly. And at home, I also got the little squirrel in and the start of this bird. So not as much time on this as I would have liked, but there was forward progress made. Now I am stitching this on 20 count fiber on a whim parchment. There are 2 stitch alongs going at this point. And Laura of Lala D, Flosstube, is doing her Sal, and she has divided it up so everybody will finish it, I believe, in less than 10 months. The Sal I'm running, so Laura's is the Pollinator Sal, and mine is hashtag praising Janine's pollinators. Mine is more open-ended. If you want to stitch it fast because you're just loving every moment, you can stitch it fast. If you want to stitch it to take over a couple of years, it's going to stay open. It just is going to stay open. And I am absolutely thrilled when I see other floss tubers like the Sun City Stitchers showing how far they've gotten. A number of people have done this whole center with the beautiful flowers in here. So it's really, really cool to see that. I am only using 1 strand of DMC. Now, I was very fortunate that one of my subscribers alerted me about a couple of things. First thing was that I had missed one of Laura's videos, which I'm not sure how that happened because I'm really careful to try and watch all of her videos. She's also a quilter and I quilt. I am going to link a video of hers where she actually explains all of the pollinators within the first section. And each month, at the end of each month, she is going to say, this is the next section we are going to do, and she's going to chat about each of those pollinators and verify that indeed there are bees that are blue. So I don't want to repeat the work that she has done. She is doing a fabulous job, so I'd love for you to check her out. Now, the other thing that the subscriber, and thank you very much, and I believe your name was Doreen. Yes, Doreen, thank you. Hang on. I'm going to read you a message that Janine sent to me because Doreen alerted me that there is an error on the first release of this particular pattern. And of course, I did get my pattern from the Nashville session, and Lindy Stitches had it to me within 4 days, which is amazing, from the States to Canada, of the fabulous Nashville weekend where they had the release of so many of these. So I have to say I've reached out to Janine, and she has been delightfully getting back and forth to me, thanking me for doing her patterns and loving her patterns and for doing a sal. She says, yes, there is an error in the original printing of the chart. The bat is straight stitched with DMC 3859, not DMC 859. So there are markings on the bat wings that are a different color than are stated on the chart if you got the original printing. Now, as luck would have it, even though my first thing to stitch was the bat, I had not put those on. She goes on to say, if you are using the DMC substitute threads, be aware that the best DMC substitute I can find for Classic Colorworks Caramel is 841. Therefore, DMC 841 is being used in 2 ways on the design. It's on the honey possum at the bottom right, on the flicker and the cactus on the bottom left. And it's okay to use the 841 both places, but if you want to go for something slightly different for accent, she is fine with that. and she has encouraged each of us to reach out to her if we have further questions. The main thing to bring to your attention was the error that the straight stitches on the bat are 3859, not 859. One number was missed in that particular moment. So this is a situation where I am amazed and thrilled with the designer as a person as well as an artist. And I just encourage you, if you're stitching this right now, to just make that note so that when you get to the bat, most of you started in the center, that you'll be fine. Okay, and continuing on, another thing that I started in the past couple of weeks, and you're thinking, you started something when you have things that you hadn't even continued on, and I'm like, I know, but there's prompts. And the I sat by prompt was something with grass, and I was like, whoa, I don't have any grass in my pictures. So one of my past students and my close friends now, when she was in Ireland, got me this kit. So it's a cross-stitch kit of Thomas Joseph. So this is the painting, and it has been made into a cross-stitch small. As a matter of fact, there's a series. There's actually 4 of his paintings that have been made into cross-stitch smalls. Now I'm going to tell you, they are full coverage, just saying. But they're also fun, and the kit does include all of the threads, and they are nicely separated out so that there is a sheet with a hole, and it says what the DMC number is, as well as what the symbol is on the chart. And the chart is actually larger than my stitch is going to be, so it's easy for me to mark things off on it. I can certainly also just copy it because it was in black and white. It is such an easy chart to do. Now this one, I was waiting for my youngest, who was at the dentist and likes to have me close by in case any anxiety comes up. And this is how far I got at that dental visit. So these little white spots here will be filled in with yellow because I think there must be like dandelions on this grass too. I just grabbed a corner out of the same material that you saw earlier, knowing that I just wanted it to be 32 count, using 2 strands because there was enough there's enough DMC for the 32 count. They suggested 28 count. It's all going to be covered up and nothing's going to show through because it's coming through nicely tight. And I've got the beginning of a sheep here, no face yet, and the beginning of some farm buildings up here. So this is just something that I'm going to classify as a purse stitch. I'm not good at stitching in a moving vehicle. I would love to be able to do that. It's just not something I can do, but this is really handy to just put in your purse for those moments where you have to wait. So I don't know how long that's going to take, but I'm having fun with it. And so that is for the I Spy prompt at Stitching by the Shore Facebook, which is something with grass. Now the next thing that I'm going to show you is my dragon keeping time. Now in my heart of hearts, I was hoping to get to 90% for today. No, not even close, but I did get several hundred stitches into the wings, and I just realized that I put it on my board upside down, so I'm going to do it like this. So I am working on the wings up here above the village. I had all of this done in the past. This is on a 32 count Pell Stitches die called Rumbling Thunder. It is lovely material, perfect amount of thickness for both having some weight but also being pliable. This pattern is Cute Patterns by Maria, and again I'm going to say she does an excellent pattern. I'm very pleased with this. It did pop into Pattern Keeper. I also put it on my Knit Companion so that within Knit Companion all of the backstitching will show up, so that it's easy for me to do that when it is done. Because I use a small hoop, when there's going to be long stitches, I wait till the end to do it. My plan actually for the next time that I go to Stitch It Central is to get a Q-snap so that I can actually have the full picture available for putting in the back stitches here. And then I'm also going to see if I can use it for some of my canvas work. No, I'm not going to try and put the canvas into the Q-snap, but if I hand stitch material to the edges of this sturdy canvas and then put the material into the Q-snap, I think I can get away with that versus having a heavier wooden frame to hold on to. I am of the age where I don't want something heavy in my hand when I am doing my stitching. Now, again, one of my subscribers was excellent. And we'll have to see what Laura says about this, but I think it works. I said in my last Flosstube, good grief, because of May the 4th, Laura put something like associated with Star Wars as one of her prompts. And I was like, Star Wars. Eek. I don't have anything with stars in it. No spaceships. What am I going to do? But then a lovely subscriber, and thank you very much, said, you know, some of the characters in Star Wars, when Han's Solo and oh, Heavenly Days. See, I'm not, have I seen every one of them? Absolutely, because my husband loves science fiction, but I don't know the characters very well. When they go to like the bars and there's big scenes of characters, many of the characters that are quote unquote from other species and other planets actually look like they're derived from dinosaurs and dragons. And I was like, yes, there is. So Laura, what do you think? Can we say that my dragon keeping time can be my Star Wars stitch because some of the characters in Star Wars have spikes and tails and look like dragons and dinosaurs? I'm thinking that she'll probably say, yes, Karen, it's okay. And you know what? If not, I'm doing the prompts for fun. And it is fun for me to have the input. Like, you guys are great for giving me these suggestions. Now, my last whip is the whip that everybody loves to see. It's my stained glass owl. Now, I will say that I am already going, what am I going to do next? I only work on one big art project at a time, one BAP. So the next one will not be started until this one is finished, and actually fully finished. But I am keeping my eyes open for my next BAP. I want it to be as eye-catching as this owl, but I don't necessarily want to keep going to the stained glass window look. Although I have to say there are a number of really beautiful stained glass windows that I could go to next. I'm thinking I'm going to want maybe to have a break from it. So I'm going to say to you, do you have any suggestions for me? I'm willing to look. Will I go bigger? I don't know if I will want to go bigger than 400 by 400, but I'll never say never. So my goal this time was to get to 60%. I did it. I am at 61.6%. And like Oona, I wanted to get the other eye in. And I also succeeded here. So here we have my stained glass owl. Ooh, I'm going to have to skivvy back a bit. There we go. So he's looking much more like an owl with two eyes. I've got the black outline here so that over the next couple of weeks, my goal can be to put in the stitches for the horn. I did put in a little bit here as well, but my focus was this and getting the outline of his forehead, and I did finish this swoosh here. So I am super pleased with this. I think I'm still on track for finishing at least in November, but my wish of all wishes is October. So this, of course, was started because Lauren, the New Hampshire stitcher, started the BAP to School sale last September. It is an ongoing sale. There are many people who are not aiming to finish this in a one-year period. So it will be continuing on. I'm stitching it with one strand using all the called for DMC colors. I can't imagine changing colors on a full coverage. The shading is so carefully thought out by the designers. But I have to say, I'm already into the second skein of a couple of my colors, of course, black being one of them, and I still have over 16,000 black stitches to make. How many stitches? I am at 98,579 stitches today. So my plan is to surpass 100,000 by the time we meet again. And I do think I can do that even though I will have heavy marking. Yeah, super pleased with the owl. Now, what else do we have here? Well, I took a look at my journal, so I'm just going to reach for it. So I am using this cross-stitch planner, which is Lori Sykes' My Crazy Life, and I'll show you. So like this was last month. So you can see that I am stitching every day. There is rarely any room for stickers, so I'm not even trying to put stickers in. But one of the things that I do is when I go to a new month, I make a list of my WIPs, my works in progress, so that I know how many I've got going in that month. Now, not all of these were there on day 1 of May, right now I have touched 19 projects in May, which I think is pretty good. Ooh, it was 19 last month, 17 the month before. So I'm able to go through, and when I fully finish something, then the next month it won't go on that list. But this is actually my way of keeping track of how many whips I have so that I don't get overwhelmed. And it also helps me later on in the book. She has provided us with space for doing other things as well. So I've got my OWL alphabet page so that my prompts for letters got it covered. And I will say that I'm going to be fine for the magazine monthly cross-stitch challenge group on Facebook. I will be using all of the OWL for bicycle. That works. And then the theme for this is farmer's market. And what I'm going to use for that is my In Praise of Pollinators, because you can purchase flowers at a farmer's market. So I've got that covered, and thank you to everybody who helped me do a complete alphabet for the OWL. Now, I'm also keeping track of how many starts that I have this year to support Sarah and Sally. Sarah and Sally have special birthdays. They turn 50 this year, as does Darlene Dion of Darlene Dion Designs. And you will be finding that I will be stitching one of her designs very soon. I'm just trying to get a few other things done first. So Sarah, she's Sew Me Sarah, Flosstube, and Sally is Flossie Sews and Grows. They have the Fun 450 Sal 2024, where they are trying to start 50 projects in 2024. And I thought, that sounds like fun. I think I'll start 50 as well. So at this point, I have 30 starts in 2024. So we're not halfway through the year, and I'm over halfway, so I think I'm going to be able to do that. Now, I'm getting there because of the smalls that I stitch. And I also have 27 finishes so far. Now, when I talk about starts, when I'm talking about something like the Quakers, 1 dozen Quakers, I only count that as one start, even though I'm doing multiple ornaments. But because these ornaments are going out to multiple people, I don't even think I've kept one now. I do count each one as an individual finish, and at this point I've got 27 finishes. Now, my finish is not considered finished until it's fully finished. So the ones that I showed today, not fully finished, are not counted in that number yet. They will be counted hopefully sometime in the next 2 floss tubes. Now, the other thing that I'm keeping track of in my planner is my plan for 2024. Different people are trying to figure out 24 somethings, and my 24 is 24 different designers of ornaments. So of course, I can only count Rosewood Manor once. I can only count Jardin Prive once. But at this point, I do have 12 different designers so far, which puts me on track for doing 24 different designers in 2024. And now I'd like to just take a moment for a few shout outs. And let's see, I think I'm going to put on my glasses so I can read my own writing. I believe I've mentioned the Soul Stitchers before. They are a pair of girls from France who are recording in English, and are having a fun time doing so. The reason that I'm pointing them out again is that one of the things they've started to do is to highlight and shout out Flosstubers from their area. And I really like having the opportunity to have new to me people to watch. And I'm not particularly concerned if they are talking in another language, because I can still look at the beautiful stitching that they are doing. They are also highlighting designers that are European and not as common here. Now, I'm a little hesitant to fall in love with designers that are from that far away, but I am discovering that a number of them do have their designs available as PDF downloads, which means the world has become very small. So I'm excited to continue to watch the Soul Stitchers to get new ideas for future stitches. Catherine, the Absent-Minded Stitcher, is a new Flosstuber. She had a fantastic opening Flosstube, and I really like that her goal is to have the creation of a community where absolutely all are welcome. Her stitching is lovely, and her flow is already excellent from the very beginning. And now the last two that I want to highlight are actually both from Wales area. The Periwinkle Stitcher, totally delightful. The thing that I wrote down here is that she, like me, has lots and lots of acquaintances that are not necessarily stitchers, and so she started her Flosstube as a way of finding stitchy friends. That is really one of the main reasons that I'm doing this too. Now, the Periwinkle Stitcher also does hand embroidery, which is, it's nice when somebody's a multi-crafter but isn't necessarily doing the exact same crafts as everybody else. So there was a small amount of her video that was given to just hand embroidery that was lovely. And then the last one, let's see if I can say the name properly, Kristen Gawronski. I have watched her for a while. Now, I will be the first to say that I like listening to accents from Australia and New Zealand and England and France now. But there's something about Kristen's voice that is musical and serene, and I just find her great company on those nights where sleep eludes me, which is how I get my owl stitched. And what I find amazing is that she has 74 videos, but somehow the YouTube algorithms are not popping her into very many people's feeds. She has less than a couple hundred subscribers, and I think she's worthy of having more. So I hope you'll give her a chance, and I'll make sure that I link her below and that I give you her spelling accurately. So those are my 4 shout outs of other Flosstubes at this time. Now for my moment for music. The piece that I'm going to play today is by a composer who's from Japan by the name of Nakada. He was a World War II veteran, and after the war turned to composing. He's well known within his own country and is best known for his vocal music, but he has a modest amount of piano music out and all of his piano pieces are exquisite miniatures. The piece that I'm going to be playing here is called Etude Allegro and is one that I played for my grade 8 exam when I was 11 years old. Etude is a piece that musicians use to help their technique in playing improve, but within a very musical setting. Yes, it's possible to do just straight exercises, but with etudes, an exercise becomes a piece of beauty. Now, Allegro means fast, so this is a fast study. One of the things that this particular piece is helping people to do in the outer sections, this is in ternary form, which means there's 3 sections. And it is a 2 for the price of 1 because the opening section returns at the end, so we call that ABA form. In the A sections, it is quick 16th notes, and what we're trying to do is to go back and forth and learn how to rotate from the elbow so that it isn't like this that we're playing with our fingers, but that we're rotating so that we can actually practice for great lengths of time without overstressing our arms and with efficient tone. Now, on Nakada, wanted to make sure there was a moment of contrast in the middle where he goes to a new key. From C major, he goes to A flat major, and he gets rid of the 16th note. So it almost sounds like I'm going a different speed here. But it's a beautiful cantabile middle section that I thoroughly enjoy playing. Interestingly enough, even though that was like 50 years ago that I learned this piece, it is essentially still by memory. I put the music up for the last page because there's one bar I wasn't sure was going to come out right, and I wanted it to be correct just for you. But for the most part, you're going to discover that I'm not looking at music. I'm looking down or even closing my eyes while I'm playing. I encourage my students to learn how to trust their hands. Practice with your eyes closed when you have it memorized. Blind people play far more correct notes than sighted people because they trust themselves. Here is Etude Allegro. And so it is that our time has come to an end again. I hope that you got a number of stitches into your latest project and that you're happy with how they look. Thank you for coming to visit with me today. Oh no, I can't say goodbye yet. I have something else very important to do. How could I have forgotten? Last week, I asked you to weigh in on the fudge it or fix it. And I thought that there would be a clear majority one way or the other, and that did not happen. It was almost 50-50 with the slight edge going to the fix-its. Most of you said it is so hard to keep going and remember what the fudge is because it can affect what is happening next. So you want to fix it. But you also admitted that if you don't discover the error until you are several hundred stitches in, that often you step back and say, even if you want to fix it, can I fudge it without affecting the rest of the piece? And there was one of you, yes, Amy, it's you, who said, I want to fix it, but I usually end up fudging it. I loved how she had a foot on both sides of that particular fence. So in the fudge it or fix it, the fix it wins by a nose, with the acknowledgement that even the people that love to fix things have moments where they need to fudge it to avoid taking out so much of the stitch that it becomes daunting and thus set aside, because that's what happens when we get that, doesn't it? We set it down and put them into a timeout, and then sometimes it can be months, and I've heard even in some cases years before we go back to it to discover we can work with the situation, or in some cases restart. Now, if you weighed in on the fudge it or fix it question, I said that you were in line for a $50 American dollar, I almost said scholarship, gift certificate from Evertote in acknowledgement of the fact that I have reached the milestone of 750 subscribers. I want to thank each of you who has subscribed, because I couldn't have done this without you. And I have gone beyond 750 now, and will indeed end up with another prize moment should I get to 1,000 subscribers. Keeping my fingers crossed that that's possible. So the question is, who did the random picker pick? And I am happy to announce that you, the Violet Stitcher, have won the $50 gift certificate. So if you could please use my email that will be floating above my head and also in the description notes below, contact me and I will connect you with I'm sent a code that can be used so that you can put in your order. So if you email me, I will email you back with the code, and ta-da, you have more Evertote options available to you. Thank you to everybody who weighed in on this. I really appreciate that, and I love the stories that I get from you in the comment section. Every time you comment, you are giving me a gift, because extra comments means that the algorithms work more in my favor so that more people will see my videos. So thank you. And now it is time for me to say, we will be parting for a couple of weeks. I'm sure we will all be very busy. I hope you find enough moments for your stitching so that you can stay sane in a very busy world. Take care, and until next time, God bless. Bye-bye.